Shulam Aleichem, everybody. We're up to Daf Yud Tes. It's 5 lines from the top. Actually, 6 lines from the top. Tanan Hasam. We learned in the Mishnah. A Mishnah in Eruvin. Koyin shalokabed's boy. Koyin, they got a boo-boo on his finger. Koyin chalel gemi b'mikdash. He could wrap a gemi, which is a type of grass, around his finger, and it heals it. It's covers it, number one, like a band-aid, and also heals it. It's Shabbos, and you're not allowed to do refuah on Shabbos midrabanan. This kind of refuah, right? The refuah really midiraisa is only when it involves teichen, but other refuahs is gzeira atu teichen. Used to shchika samamanim. They used to grind it. So here the gemi is only the rabbanon, but there's no shuvas b'mikdash. There's no problem with the rabbanons in the base of mikdash. Avaloi b'Medina, but in Yerushalayim there is an isser refuah with the rabbanon. You can't do it. If your intention is you're trying to wrap it around tight so it could get some blood out of it, then kan v'kan aser. Even in the base of mikdash it's aser because that's a told of sheichet of choivel that you're taking dam out. Amr Rabbi Yoel elo gemi. That's only by a gemi, which is not a beged. About tziltzil cotton, it's like a small, tiny piece of beged that's wrapped around the finger. That is a problem for a kohen to do it because of yitter begodim. And we learned in a brisa earlier that yitter begodim is an issue when a kohen gadol or a regular kohen does the avodah. He's not allowed to have any extra begodim on him. Rabbi Yochanan yitter begodim ela b'mekayim begodim. No, that's only b'mekayim begodim. Rabbi Yochanan says here it's on the finger of a shloim makam begodim lo yav yitter. There's no problem of yitter. Asks the Gemara v'teipaklei mishum chatzitza. There's a chatzitza. Yeah. Where's the chatzitza? Chatzitza is between the yad of the kohen and the klisharis, right? He's holding a klisharis, and it's separated by the tziltzil. Gemara says bismoil inam yishlem makam avoda. It's talking about it's on the left hand where you're not really using for the avoda, or it's on the palm where you're not touching the klishar. It's a shlem makam avoda. That's why there's no issue of chatzitza with a tziltzil. A pliga the Rava, Rava seems to be chalak on Rabbi Yochanan because he says, "Dama Rava Rav Chizda b'makam begadim afilu nima achas chetzetzes." If it's b'makam begadim, even a hair, one hair is a chatzitza. It's not. It's a problem. If it does is psula. Shloim makam begadim sholosh al sholosh chetzetzes pachas mekan ein chetzetzes. If it's not b'makam begadim, for example, the finger. So if the beged is the size of sholosh al sholosh atzbayis for 3 by 3, excuse me, then it's a problem of chatzitza. Pachas mekan, less than that, it's not a problem of chatzitza. So the Gemara says it seems like Rabbi Yochanan and Rava are cholik when you're wearing a tziltzil, right, the small beged around your finger, if it's a chatzitza or not. Now here, chatzitza doesn't mean an actual chatzitza. Rashi says chatzitza really it's talking about yitter begodim. Shaila is Rashi sholosh chaytzes kloimar of the yitter begodim. The reason why we're talking about chatzitza is because when it's b'makim begodim, the lashon of chatzitza is more appropriate, right? You have something separating between your basar and the beged. That's why over here also, Shaloi b'makam begadim, we're talking about the lashon of chatzitza, but really what it means is it means yitter begadim. So the shaila whether sholosh al sholosh by a tziltzul is an issue of yitter begadim, Rava says yes, and Rabbi Yochanan says there's no issue of yitter begadim, only b'makam begadim, not Shaloi b'makam begadim. Says the Gemara, the Rabbi Yochanan v'ad pliga, ad Rabbi Yehuda b'rei Rabbi Chia mileim the pliga. On Rabbi Yochanan, there is for sure a machlokes, right? Rav is vada cholek on Rabbi Yochanan, but at Rabbi Yehuda b'rei Rabbi Chia mileim the pliga. Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Chia says tziltzil is an issue. It's only gemi that's not an issue, but tziltzil is an issue of yitter begadim. Maybe Rabbi Yehuda b'rei Rabbi Chia only meant if it's sholosh al sholosh, there's no machlokes between Rav and him. So the Gemara says the truth is that there is no machlokes between Rav and Rabbi Yehuda ben Rechia. Shani tziltzal cotton dechashiv. The reason why Rabbi Yehuda ben Rechia said tziltzal cotton is an issue is because tziltzal specifically is not like a regular, scrap of clothing, a patch that you just use to wrap around your finger. Tziltzal is a kind of beged. It's almost like a tachshit. That's chashiv, and therefore it has a chashivas, even if it's less than shalosh shalosh, and that's where it's an issue. So the Emma says there's no machlokes of Yehuda ben Rechia and Rava. Sheloi b'makam begadim. There could be an issue of yitur begadim, either tziltzal cotton less than shalosh shalosh because it has chashivas, or a beged that has shalosh shalosh. Lishna chrin amrulei, amr Rabbi Yehuda ben Rechia lashon alagemi, avat tziltzal cotton chaytzit. Yeah. Okay, that's like we said earlier. Rabbi Yochanan Amrli Amru Chatzitza b'pachim shalosh shalosh el b'mkayim gadim. Ava shleib makam begadim shalosh shalosh chaytzitzes. Pachim b'kan ena chatzitzes. Behind the Rava Amar Rav Chizda. So, according to this last lashon, really Rabbi Yochanan is maskim to Rava that if it's shalosh shalosh, Rabbi Yochanan also is maskim that it's chatzitza. It's a problem of yitur begadim, even if it's shleib b'makam begadim. Okay, so the Gemara says, "Leime pliga derivder bereder Rabchia." So, is he choylek on derivder bereder Rabchia because Rava says only shalosh shalosh? So the Gemara says, no, he's also not choylek on derivder bereder Rabchia. Shani tziltzal cotton the chashav. Tziltzal cotton is chashav. So mainly he's not choylek on that either, because that's chashav. Okay, so either way, Rava can fit with Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Yehuda bereder Rabchia, because Rabbi Yochanan in the second lashon holds that shaloy b'makam begadim, if it's shalosh shalosh, it is an issue of yitur begadim, and that's what Rava holds as well. And Rabbi Yehuda ben Rechia says tziltzal cotton. Rava could agree to that also because it's chashav and you don't need shalosh shalosh over there. Rabbi Yochanan my area gemi lashmin and tziltzal cotton. My sir Rabbi Yochanan is choylek on Rabbi Yehuda ben Rechia. So let Rabbi Yochanan at least talk about a tziltzal cotton, even though it's chashav. There's no problem with yitur begadim. Gemara says milsa gavarcha kamashmal. Rabbi Yochanan is talking about a gemi to teach you the gemi masi. Right, a chiddush in Hilchos Shabbos. The chachamu were mate refuah b'Shabbos in the Beis Hamikdash because it's only a shvus. So that's what we're talking about a gemi because that has that chiddush. Tziltzal is not merapa. A gemi is merapa. Okay, boy Rava Shaila. Nichnasu ruach bebigdai ma'u al besoroi beinan. If you have air. Walked past, there was a breeze. Right now there's a breeze. If there's a breeze and the breeze is between, you have wind that's separating the clothing from the flesh. So al basara beinan v'oleka, there's no basara, it's not al basara. Dilma derech levisha bakach, maybe it's derech levisha, and there's no issue because that's what happens usually when you're wearing clothes, especially when you're wearing the me'il or whatever, the ksainis, a dress-like clothing, that's usually derech levisha. Nocha shaila, kino mao shetachotz. What about a lice? Is that a chatzitza? Mesil like to belach devad the chaytza. Avad if it's dead, that's for sure a chatzitza. Chaya maya. What about if it's alive? Mi or minikiv the osav azla ravisahi. Maybe because it's constantly moving, it's crawling, so maybe it's not considered mamish. The chatzitza, it's nechshav, like his basar v'loy chaytza. Don't give him the cup of the lo chaytza. Lamaisi doesn't want it there, so if he doesn't want it there, so it's chatzitza. Offer ma'o sheyachar, it's another suffix. What about dirt? Offer vadachayitz. Mar says, what do you mean dirt? For sure chatzitza. Ela avak offer ma'o. What if you have dust? Beis hashechi ma'o sheyachar. What if you have, clothing that is loose on him, and there's aver between the Beis HaShechi. Ma'ashi Yochotz. Al Basari bin and Valeka, Dil B'derech Levisha B'kach. What about Hichnas Yodelo Techeikai? Put his hand into his bosom, Mao. Gufoi Michayetz Oiloi. It's his own body. Is his own body chatzitza or not? Nima Mao Shetachotz. What about a hair? Nima vada chayitz. The Gemara says, what do you mean a hair? Vada is chayitz. Ela nima modul delis. If it's still attached to the big day kahuna, it's like a thread that's loose on the big day kahuna. Is that a chatzitza or not? Oh, So that's a shaila. What about his sar, his hair, went into the ksainis and it's mafsik between the ksainis and the basar? Mouse, and therefore it's not an issue. Okay, that's the seventh suffix we have over here. Now we have another suffix. What about tefillin? Is that a chatzitza? If Laila is not as man tefillin, so once Laila, it would be a chatzitza by Laila. If he does the avodah, it would be yiter begodim. Again, all these chatzitzas over here, not all. This one over here is, Rashi says, it's, Rashi devra maschel mao sheyechutzu, just going on tefillin. Rashi says, klaim have a yiter begodim. Talking about yiter begodim, that's the issue, by tefillin. So Laila it's yiter begodim because you're not yotze the mitzvah tefillin by Laila. So yom nami chaytze, so therefore we can consider it by yom yiter begodim. So it's not a shaila according to that mandama. Kita boilach lefin mandama Laila's man tefillin. My mitzvah de gufei chayetz or loy chayetz. Right? If it's a mitzvah on his guf, then it's chayetz. There's yiter begodim. Or loy chayetz, or it's not chayetz. It's very interesting. Rashi says, why wouldn't it be chayetz? Mishim chavivusa de mitzvahs. Very, very interesting Rashi. Chavivus ha-mitzvah you love it so much that it's a part of you. It's a part of you, so it's no chatzitza. It's an amazing concept. We see over here this idea that when you connect with a mitzvah, you mamash love the mitzvah. You love it. Then it has a halachic ramification. It becomes a part of you. Unbelievable. Okay. There's no chatzitza. It's not yiter begodim. The Gemara says, Galgul milsa motel kamed rabami. So the shaila came to Rabami, Omer lei, Talmud aruchu biyadenu, tefillin chaytzitzes. Tefillin is chaytzitz. Okay, Gemara says, in other words, it has a din of yiter begodim. Meisavei kahanim b'avedasan, ulovim b'dichonon, v'Yisrael b'mamodom, p'turim tefillin my love, and manichan in chaytzitzes. It sounds like it's potter. Right? Kahana b'avedasan, they're potter from tefillin, but if they put it on, no issue of yiter begodim. So it's not like the brisa, not like Rabami. Versus loy, imanichan chaytzitzes. Avada, if they put it on, it's problematic. Is yiter begodim. Yochi p'turim asurim v'boile. The losha should be asurim, not p'turim. Because the Gemara look, even the ikal aviyam v'Yisrael lo misnolei aser v'shmachitana p'turim. Since the word aser applies to Levium and a Yisrael, right? Because I'm sorry, there's no Isser there. There's no Isser by Levim and Yisrael because there's no problem of them wearing tefillin beduchanan or b'mamodan. Shemachitana p'turin, that's why it says potter because of Levim and Yisraelim, but avada by a kohen would be an issue, like Rabami said. But Tanya manichan enechayt, it says, now we're asking from a different brisa where it says tefillin is enechayt, says no problem of yiter begodim. Where's the loy kasha? Ho the yad or the roish? Depends if sheyad and sheroish. Maishna, what's the difference? Okay, so 1 second. Yad will be chaytzitz, right? Because you have the ksainis. So the ksainis has to be al basaroi. So if you have tefillin inside, it'll be chaytzitz. The rosh, there's no issue of chatzitza because it's. We'll see. The Gemara is going to say it's between the mikbas or between the mitznefes and the tzitz. There's a little bit tsar left, but over here is an issue because Rashi learned the whole sugya of tefillin as an issue of yiter begodim. If it's an issue of yiter begodim, there's no chilik between yad and shel roish, right? That's why Tosfos says we have to learn that the whole issue is chatzitza mamish, and now the Gemara makes sense that there's an issue, there's a chilik in yad and shel roish. Yad is a chatzitza, shel roish is no chatzitza. But Rashi is takashver. Rashi learns that the sugya is handling chatzitza is a loshen of yiter begodim here. If it's yiter begodim, then what's the issue? I mean, it's just as much an issue as by the shal roish as the shal yad. They're both yiter begodim. So the Gemara says. So Tosfos says maybe because Even Yitzhak Begadim is only b'makam begadim, so it's only by Shal Yad. By Shal Rosh, it's not makam begadim. The Gemara says, "Ma'ishna the Yad chsiv yilba shal b'soroi shal dever chaytz bein leb'soroi the Rosh nami chsiv esamtam etznefes al Roshoi tana sa'oroi nira ben tzitzlam etznefes." It's shloi makam begadim according to Rashi, and there's also no chatzitz according to Tosfos. Whichever way you learn the sugya, because there was a space for the sar over here on top where it was empty, and that's where you put the makam atfitz, you put the tefillin. So it was shaloi makam begadim, and there's also no chatzitza. Shesham maniach tefillin. He says the Gemara, Mechusar Kippurim, the next item on the blacklist of the Mishnah. If a person is lacking a carbon, a kohen had to bring a carbon to complete his tahara process, and he didn't, he's mechal the avodah. Gemara says, Menola, Nomer Avuna, Makro, V'chipra le'a kohen v'tahera. It says, by Yeledes, she brings a carbon at the end of her tahara process, and V'chipra le'a kohen v'tahera. Tahera mechlal shehi tmeya. Sounds like up until that point she was tmeya. So you see, Mechusar Kippurim is tmeya le'inyan kachim, and the din is like a tummy that's mechal the avodah. The shalei rachotz yadayim v'raglayim. How do we know that somebody didn't wash his hands and feet by the kiyur? Yeah, if he does the avodah say psula. Asi chuka chuka b'mechusar begadim. Okay, we said earlier, it's exer shav b'mechusar begadim. Ton rabbanim. Okay, now we get involved in Kiddush Yadayim V'Raglayim. Tell the Rabbanon, Kohen Gadol, Shloi Toval. Kohen Gadol wasn't Toval on Yom Kippur. V'Shloi Kiddush. Bein Beged LeBeged. Where he had to change his Begadim from one Avodah to the next. The Bein Avodah LaVodah. V'Over Avodah Sekshera. So let's say he wasn't Mekadosh Yadayim V'Raglayim, or he wasn't Toval in between. The halacha is just to be Toval. And Mekadosh Yadayim V'Raglayim in between, the Avodah in between the changing of his clothing. If he didn't do it, it's kshera. The echad kan god, echad kan hediyat shaloi kiddush yodav raglav v'shachris, right? Meaning, the first kiddush yadayim raglayim when he comes into the azar to do the avodah, the rest of the year or even Yom Kippur, the over avodas psula. There, the avodah is possible. Okay, so the Gemara Omer Basla B'Yechna Mirdi, Chomesh Tevilois Vasara Kiddushin, the Eraisa. The Kohen Gadol on Yom Kippur, he has to tovel 5 times and do 10 Kiddush Yadayim V'Raglayim. And that's a deraisa, that's a din min ha-Torah. Yeah, we learn it from Psukim. B'chuka ksiv behu li'akvu. And it says the Lashon Chuka. So Ibazoit, she ma'akav the avodah, the same way the first Kiddush Yadayim V'Raglayim is ma'akav the avodah, the other ones that you do in Yom Kippur, the special ones you do in Yom Kippur, should also be ma'akav. Amalei, Omakro, Ulavei The pasuk says, it reiterates Ulavei Sham. Yet it really doubles down on the Levesha. Tsa'avu Panav. Ravasi was so happy, his face lit up from happiness when he heard this answer. I wrote a vav on a log of wood, meaning it's not really, you can't really tell when a vav is written on a log of, it's just a line. So this tshuva, it's not really a good tshuva that I gave you. Why? Because it's a kasha. Because if a Levesham is teaching you by the Yom Kippurim, the Avodah of Yom Kippurim, that the Torah is only makbar on the Levisha of Yom Kippur, so the Tzafar Nami, why would the first Kiddush Yadayim V'Raglayim be a problem? It shouldn't be makav either. Why is the first one a problem on Yom Kippur? It says Levesham. Dover ma'akav bezaroi, ma'akav boy. Dover she'ena ma'akav bezaroi, ena ma'akav boy. The reason is because he has a whole different, okay, so falling off with the Levesham, we have another Makar. Chizkiah says that the reason why the first one is an issue and the rest aren't an issue is because it says, I'm not sure if you're falling off, you still need a Levesham for the rest, but why the first one is not an issue? Because it says, Lo Yulazaroi. By Kiddush Yadayim V'Raglayim, it says that it has to be applicable to both. Whatever the halacha is by the Zara, by Bnei Aaron, it also has to be, that applies to Aaron. But whatever's not by Bnei Aaron, the Avodah of Yom Kippur is not shaykh to them. That's why it's not an issue by Aaron HaKohen either. The rest of the Kiddush Yadayim V'Raglayims. Rabbi Yoel Nomar, different tshuva. Mehachav v'rachtu min Moshe Aaron of Avonav. It says again by Kiddush Yadayim V'Raglayim. It says Moshe of Aaron Avonav. Domer Akav Avonav. Am Akav Avonav. Ma'akav Boy. Dover she'ena Ma'akav Avonav. Ein Ma'akav Boy. Bekitzer Amaisa, same type of drasha, the same word, but it's different pasuk. Gemara says, Rabbi Yoel, my time learn by the Cheskia. Why do Rabbi Yoel want to learn from Cheskia? Amalachahu l'dairis udechsiv. That's l'dairis. Why? Because it says l'dairisam, lo l'zara l'dairisam. So it's a limud l'dairis. It's not. It's teaching you l'dairis that there's a chiv kiddush dam v'glayim for the rest of the generations. So it's not available. Lazaroi is not available to teach you loy lazaroi. Whatever is equal to zara is equal to Aaron HaKohen. Because Lazar is going to l'dairosa. Why didn't Chizkiah learn it from Rabbi Yonasan's pasuk? Says the Gemara, look at the Beis of Reb Chanina. The Beis of Chanina called Kir she'im b'kedei l'kadosh arba kahana v'menu ein mekatchen b'shenem v'rochzu v'menu Moshe v'Aaron Abanav. That pasuk, it says 4 people. It says Moshe, Aaron, and Banav is 2. So you need enough water in the Kir for 4 people. Told Rabbanon, Ketzad the mitzvah's kiddush. How do you do the kiddush yadayim v'raglayim? Maniach yoda amonis al ragla amonis. You have to stretch a little bit, but you got to put it. Your right hand goes on your right foot. V'yoda smalls like ragla amonis and mekadesh. That's how you do kiddush. Okay, you put it together. Yadayim zu al gavzu and shtei raglav zu al gavzu and mekadesh. Amrul iflakto yefshel asas game. You expect people to do more than their abilities. You can't do it. It's impossible physically. She wants to answer the Beis Yehuda Gevaldik. How can the Beis Yehuda demand or interpret the pasuk to mean something which is physically impossible? Amar Rav Yosef, the Beis Yehuda meant he's not doing it on his own. He's leaning on a friend. My banayu, what's the machloikas? Amar Rabbi, midim an atzadik banayu. The shaila is, can you stand with support as you're doing the kiddush yadayim v'raglayim? The Chachamim hold that it's not called an amida. And that's why they say just put your yoda emunas lagabe ragla emunas, and then yoda smulas lagabe ragla emunas. That's possible to do it by yourself. And Rabbi Yehuda says no, you could lean. Why can't he sit and then he could do it? Let him sit. Now, what does he sit? You're not allowed to sit in the Azara. In yeshiva b'Azara l'malchus b'David Bovad. Yeah. So, really, what the Gemara's question is a Chachamim. Why can't he lean? Let him lean. What's the problem with leaning? The word by the washing of the Yadayim Reglayim, by Kiddush Yadayim Reglayim, is l'sharis, and we know that shiris is mu'umad. Yeah, when you do that void, that's mu'umad. It has to be standing up. Ton Rabbanon, Kiddush Yadayim Reglayim, Kiddush Yadayim Reglayim v'yoyim, ein tzarich l'kadosh b'laylo. B'laylo tzarich l'kadosh b'yoyim. Here you have a shaila. Let's say if you Mekadosh Yadayim Reglayim in the morning and you stay there into the night. Yeah, so the Brisa says you don't have to Mekadosh again Yadayim Reglayim b'laylo. But if you started your avodah b'layla, you Mekadosh Yadayim Reglayim when you come into the Azara b'layla, then when the sun rises, you have to be Mekadosh again. Divrei Rebbe. Sherebbe Melina me'elas b'Kiddush Yadayim Reglayim. So once you pass the night, if the night is mafsik between the day and the day, you have to wash again. It doesn't. It's not moil. It doesn't ruin the Kiddush Yadayim Reglayim. Tanya Idach. Another brisa which brings the same machleka. So you oimid the makriv agab misbayich kalalayla la'oiro toin kiddush dam reglaim divrei Rebbe. Even if you mamish spent the whole night on top of the mizbeach being makter chalovim and emurim, doesn't matter. You still need kiddush dam reglaim in the morning. Rabbi Yoel Shimon Omer kiven shekidesh yoda v'raglav metchilas avoda afilu mekav the saryom ein tzarich lekadish. Since once you do kiddush dam reglaim in the beginning, there's no issues anymore. It's richa, and you need both machloikas. Right? Why does the Brisa have to repeat the same machloikas? Gemara says no, you need both. The first Brisa, it doesn't say that he was serving the whole time non-stop. Could be it was mafsik. That's why Rabbi says, okay, so you need to do kiddush dam reglayim again, right when the sun rises. But here the second Brisa is talking about that he was oivet kol alayla, he wasn't mafsik, ema moide Rebbe l'Rebbe Reb Shimon, maybe he's moide. V'yashmina b'ho, v'hakam Rebbe Reb Shimon. Maybe over here, when he's not mafsik of the avodah, that's what Reb Shimon said, that you don't have to be Mekadosh Yadayim Reglayim again by sunrise. Aval b'ho, ema moide Rebbe, tzricha. That's why you need both. My time of the Rebbe. Ask the Gemara Lamaisa, how does Rebbe know his halacha? They need to wash again in the morning, even though you washed at night. The chsiv begishtam. It says begishtam. So the avoid in the morning is considered a new gisha. Yeah? A new approach. You're approaching the Mizbeach anew. So that's what Chal and Naya Chi of Kiddush Yadayim Reglaim. By the time the Rosa of Shimon, it says bevoyam. It says bevoyam when you come into the Azara. Come in. So as soon as you come in, you wash and then you're done. You're good. As long as you don't leave the Azara, you're still good. You can be Yoitze with the first Kiddush. Viduch Nami Yksiv bevoyam. Rebbe, it says bevoyam. Why does he require again in the morning if he never left? Mrs. Enks. Iksiv begishtam leksiv bevoyam. Having not called gisha v'gisha. Rebbe says it's coming to temper the begisha. Begishtam I would have thought that it means every time you approach the Mizbeach, you have to do Kiddush Yadayim Reglayim. So, because Chumana B'voyam, it means that the Chalois Kiddush really extends for all the Gishas b'meshech the whole day, and the Laila Shel Achrav. But Begishtam is telling you, right, B'voyam is saying you could use it. You could use it continuously from the morning until the next morning. But Begishtam is teaching you that from Alois the next morning, it's a new Gisha, and that's why you need a new Kiddush Yadayim Reglayim. What is Rabbi Elazar Rav Shimon going to do with the Begishtam? Why is he not require a new Kiddush Yadayim Reglayim in the morning? It says, if you just would have said Bevoyam without Begishtam, I would have said Stam, if a guy comes into the Azara, even if he's not going to do the Avodah. Yeah, Bevoyam, he's coming in, he's doing Kiddush Yadayim Reglayim. That's why it says, Begishtam, that only if he's coming in to do the Avodah. It says Lasharis. I don't need Begishtam for that. Bekiddush Sheni, Ksulavish Mekadesh, everybody holds that the Kohen Gadol Yom Kippur, right, when he undressed from, let's say, after the Tomash Shachar, from the Shemona Begodim to get into the big day Lavan, that he undressed. Chaleks are made their Rabbanan later, exactly when he undresses. When does he have to Kiddush Yadayim Reglayim and Tefillah? Does he have to do it? Not Tefillah, but Kiddush Yadayim Reglayim. He has to do it when he still has the clothing on, the Shemona Begodim, before he takes it off, or after he takes it off, before he puts on the new one. But everybody agrees that once you put on the new clothing, the big day Lavan for the Avodah, then you need a second Kiddush Yadayim Reglayim. Everybody agrees that that's Kishu Lavish Mekadesh. The Omikra Oy Begishtam. Which means the second Kiddush Yadayim Reglayim happens by the Kohen Gadol when it comes to the Avodah of Yom Kippur. It's when he's already dressed in the big day Kahuna. That's when he's only Mechusar Gisha. That's when he does Kiddush Yadayim Reglayim. Okay, we'll stop over here.